Good morning, everyone.
早上好，为什么我听了一个爆？
Yeah, suddenly pop up everyone for a change.
今天一次过给大家3个。
对了，so you get one shot, the 3 of us. Welcome, Dr. Lee, once again, yay!
耶！真的是名副其实的3人制了哈。
一次过3个人了嘛。
对
Three Musketeers.
耶！他们说3人行3人行必有我师啊。
师是那个 wet 师是不是？
哎呦，师是老师的师。
Okay, sounds the same but different meaning. Okay.
That means when you like three walked in a path, usually will learn something from each other. 3人行必有我师，很好的一句话。
Yeah, don't mind my corniness. It's not the first time they know me.
I think we are getting used to it.
Yeah, the
to a certain point,
time.
To a certain point, we are enjoying it, so it's okay. Continue.
Okay, let's welcome all our guests. Let's see. Good morning, Qiu Qian. Good morning, Jasmine.
This is me lah.
Yeah, I know. I saw your post out there, but I didn't want to click and realize it's you. Okay, good morning, Jasmine. Good morning, Keita Jie and Carol.
Carol 越来越准时了。
Early in the morning already. Yeah. We have Alice as well, and we have Joreen. I think our new guest with a dog. What pet is that?
Joreen Yo.
West Highland Terrier.
Oh, beautiful dog. Yep.
好可爱啊，好可爱。
是很可爱的狗。
Yeah, we have Zhongming, and we also have Robert. Another beautiful dog. That is.
Yes. That's my good friend, Chester.
Chester.
Chester is a beautiful dog. Sadly, he passed last September. Beautiful
sorry
dog.
to hear that. But beautiful dog. It's the same breed that there's a
Corgi, the Queen's breed. Corgi.
Ooh.
Gorgeous dog. Fantastic
Beautiful.
Personality. Yeah.
这些狗应该都会是蛮听话的，是吧？这个种类。
它不是每只狗就是一样的，就跟小孩子一样，看你怎么去养它，怎么培养。
所以那个培养的过程是非常重要的哈。
最要紧的是培养，就跟小孩子一样，你培养好的时候，他们很听话的。
But is it true that if you to speak to them in certain languages, and if you move them to another country with different language, they don't understand? Is it true?
No, that's not true because they understand from body language.
Okay.
They also understand from tones. And also there's a language of feeling and chemistry that comes out. Energy. They understand what you're saying from your energy that you're giving to them.
That's good. Yeah. Alice, say hi to you.
Hi,
nice
Alice.
to see you. Yeah. Michelle also
What
said good
about
morning.
by touch? 触摸
By touch on pets, I mean, on the animal.
Very important. Touch is the most important thing in the world for transmitting comfort, emotions, presence, and it communicates a lot of things, touch. So never underestimate touch. And now that we're talking about grief, touch is the most important thing, which is often missing when we are doing grief counseling. Touch is very important.
是的，我觉得这个部分很重要。其实，很多年前就是到美国去的时候，我们做了一个 we did a workshop, and then that's actually something I learned from my previous silent retreat program. We do the touches, and especially we group into different groups with strangers, but it's the same members, and we got to practice to give hugs and touch on our group members, and then we get the opportunity to share how we feel. Because especially 我觉得华人的社会有时候在这个部分是很缺乏的。
对啊，不能碰。
以前我刚去西方国家的时候，那种美国人很热情的，哇，他们第一个就是还没说话就先拥抱，我是那种。
要是这个国家里讲 ，is called molestation。
就慢慢的习惯，
对，
慢慢习惯，然后发现原来你如果是真诚的 I meant sincere， 很真诚的，哇，那种拥抱的能量，哇，很不一样，真的是很疗愈 ，very therapeutic。Very
therapeutic.
I do it to my what's the thing called this 抱枕 every night when I sleep. You know the long piece of pillow where you can hug and sleep. I do it to it every night. The
bolster. The Dutch wife.
Correct.
等一下下线之后呢，你的太太米歇说 ，Can you hug me like your bolster？
She will start throwing a towel at me very soon.
好，我们今天进入正题，我们要聊的一个话题呢是跟悲伤、忧伤有关。
Okay, today our topic will be understanding grief and how to deal with it. So let's look at grief. Now, let's look at grief. Grief is a response to loss, particularly the loss of someone or some living things that has died, to which a bond or affection was formed, although conventionally focused on the emotional response to loss. Grief also has a physical, cognitive, and behavioral aspect as well. So that's why we'll be looking into it. That's written by, I think, Wikipedia. So what do you think, Dr. Lee?
I think this is a little bit too narrow. Grief is, first of all, grief is a process. We have to understand grief is actually a process. And grief is not just a loss of living things. Grief can be a loss of a job, of an inanimate object. And grief sometimes can come across from loss of self. Sometimes we suddenly feel in a group or at work or in the family, we suddenly feel irrelevant, especially when you get older or you're not part of a group. There's grief. It's loss of self-identity that produces grief. And as I said, it's a process. And this process can take many weeks or many months before, or sometimes years before people come out of it. And grief is very, very personal. Everybody grieves differently. And grief is based, and grief affects everybody of every culture. But the way we handle grief or exhibit grief is different in different cultures, different in different families, different in different societies. So there are many types of grief. For example, in Bali, when someone dies, it's a celebration. In Asia, in China, in the Chinese society, the more you cry, the better. So they hire mourners to actually cry. In Western societies, grief is a very somber experience. Everybody must attend. Whether you're an enemy or a friend, you got to attend. Show your face once. You never ever meet them in their lives, maybe once, but you come during a funeral. So it's supposed to give support to the family members, So the ideas are very, very different. People handle grief differently.
Yep. So, like what Dr. Lee mentioned, so grief must not only specify only in terms of death of someone that you love, or maybe your fur kids, but it can also be related to a job. An example I was going to share. I was talking to my wife about it as well. A few years ago, she has a condition called sudden hearing loss. Okay, and it became quite a deep thing because no one knows about it. It was just through flu, and suddenly it actually affected the left side of the ear. So we went to see a doctor, and the doctor said no hope already. It's just like that. Because once your inner ear swell, it affects you. And then you lost your hearing, it goes into frequency mode. So she actually went through the different stages of grief as well. So later we'll talk more about it. See?
所以它
So
不一
can you-
定是跟生离死别有关啊，哈、
对，
因为很多人可能会把悲伤啊、忧伤呢直接联想到是这个人生的这个生离死别。可是刚才 Dr. Lee 还有 Nat 分享的，我们不能有一个人可能他的一辆跑车坏了，他也可能
对啊，
对吧？
Yep.
就进入一种悲伤的状况，哇，花了多少钱买的这辆跑车
I've came across people who love playing computer game, the PlayStation, the Xbox, and then the wife came along and just smash it. You see him go into that state. Oh no! A lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and going into that grief state as well, because they just lost something they hold so dearly.
Or
So
grief
Yep.
can also come from criticisms from people around you on the internet. When people bully you, that can also bring on extreme grief, and sometimes this grief can lead to some terrible physical consequences.
So
突然间也让我想到了，就是 even 呢，就是种族歧视，
yes,
种族歧视 racist 也会历史上我们看到了，对不对 ？In the history， 哇，就是一大段的时间，我觉得那些人也是经历很长一段很伤感的时间，对吧？
So earlier back to Dr. Lee, you're saying?
So at the end of the grief process, it can do two things, two broad outcomes that we see. One, it makes you more successful. You come out of the grief, you're better than before. You learn. It's a learning experience. It's like a firing experience. It tones you up. On the other end of the spectrum, grief can actually destroy you. It depends on what your process is and how you handle it and how others help you walk through this.
那倒不如我们让 Dr. Lee 来说一说，因为以 Dr. Lee 的一个人生阅历还有你的职业作为一名这个非常资深的兽医，应该常常面对这些生离死别。那你的人生阅历也应该比我们就所谓的吃米比我们吃盐多嘛
Yeah, more rice, more salt, more rice 吃米多。I'm confused now.
反正就是经历比我们多。然后你可以跟我们分享一下，就是要怎么样做，尽量让自己不会进入那一个就是说会越走越糟的情况，而是会当你经过悲伤跟忧伤的时候，会把它变成一种力量，然后越走越强大，越坚强。要怎么样？
就是这样，我们 grief is like salt， 盐，你上面必须要放点糖。You need to sweeten it. If you don't, this salt will completely consume you. So it can make you who you are. So you will constantly sweetening it. Like my personal experience are a lot. I mean, I lost my mother, who is very dear to me. I went into a period of prolonged grief, which lasted nearly a year. So I had to take measures. There are many people. So to me, grief is very personal. My best friend, and my wife died when she was very young. And she's the mother of my 3 kids. And I had all these experiences. And one of the things I realized, grief is very, very personal, very, very personal. And unfortunately, because we're never educated about grieving, we all feel that when someone is grieving, we need to say something. Actually, if you want to help someone in grieving, sometimes just be there. Don't say anything. We feel so uncomfortable when someone has lost a loved one. Like when I lost my wife, people ask me to be strong. I've got 3 kids. I shouldn't do this. I must do that. I must hold my chin up. But actually, inside, I want to die. I want to cry. I want to do all these things. I just need someone to touch me. Even just a hand on my shoulder makes me feel better. I don't need you to tell me how I should do it. If I want to cry, let me cry. I don't have to be strong for anybody. See, nature gave us all the things, all the properties to overcome grief. Crying is one of them. When you let it out, you actually feel better at the end of it. It is nature's way of helping us to wash some of the pain away. That's why we cry. It's very important we don't never ever stifle that. If people are sad, let them be sad. Of course, when they're sad for too long, you need to do something. But if they're sad, acuteness, you allow them to be sad. But if you want to help them, just be there, be their friend. Your presence helps more than anything else. And sometimes if you want to say something, just shut up. That helps more. Just shut up. Don't have to say anything. Just zip. Don't say anything because you don't know. And the worst thing someone can say to you when you're grieving is, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You do not know how I feel.
Yes.
You do not know how I feel. You don't know how sad I am. You don't know my wife. You don't know my relationship. When my mother died, people don't understand that. They say, oh, she's going to a better place. But how does that help me? I know she's going to a better place. But those things you don't need to say. Let me process it because there's a time of process. In grieving, I see it in my patients because I see all the worst cases. I do. The death rate in my clinic is very, very high. I can't help all of them. By the time they come to me, many of them are very, very, very sick. And I always tell them the truth. Your dog or your cat is dying. I will help, but you need to, first of all, please pull yourself into reality. You need to learn to spend your last moments with them. And you need to be, I need to walk with them. And when I walk with them, I don't say anything. I just help them the best I can. But I need to bring them to the reality to accept the fact that this pet is dying. I'm not going to tell them I'm going to save them. No, I never say that. I will help. I will do the best I can. And because sometimes the best you can doesn't work, they pass on. Having passed on, you have to remember, people need assurance that they've done the right thing. As an owner of a fur kid. So I tell them, because you tried so hard, that you have to know that there's no guilt. You've tried. You tried. You've done your best. That's all you could do. God is the healer, not me. I'm not a healer. I'm just his hands. And God has his own will, his own ways of doing things. But I always make sure that I'm there for them. If they need me, I'm there. I don't have to say anything. They know I'm there for them. So, and the whole process of grief is different for different people. Some people, of course, we know there are 5 stages, 5 so-called stages. Some people say there's 7. The 5 stages of grief are depression, anger, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But sometimes we pass from one phase to the other very fast. We don't even recognize the in-between phases. Some of us get stuck in the one phase, for example, depression. We're stuck there. And when we are stuck there, we can be there for a long, long time. And that's when we need intervention. But for most of us, 90% of us, we know how to deal with it because nature has equipped us. And this equipment, you must allow this equipment to work. Never circumvent that. Don't let any outsiders come in to tell you how you should grieve. If you feel like grieving, grieve. If you want to cry, you cry. If you want to scream and shout, you scream and shout. My mother, when she died, I went into serious depression for nearly 8 to 12 months. So what I did was I locked myself up. That was made for my self-handling. I went into fasting and solitude. I booked myself into a religious area. I locked myself up. I did a lot of prayers, and the priest who helped me told me, "Are you angry?" I said, "I'm so angry. I'm so angry at God." He says, "Well, because in the chapel there's a Eucharist there. Go in there and tell him how you feel." So you know what? I told him exactly how I felt. 4-letter words, everything. I screamed, I yelled, and I cursed, and I swore at him. And do you know, at the end of all of that, I thought I heard a little voice in my head. It says, "Are you done?" It was so comforting. "Are you done? I love you." That was it. And for then, after, my pain was gone. That was healing for me. And we have to understand that, especially those who are listening, and some of you are counselors. You know, don't ever pretend you know everything. You don't. Sometimes you need to let things be. You need to let things be. Allow a person to grieve, because that is nature's way of helping the person to come out of it. Sometimes for the stronger, that's great. But some of us don't come out so strong. And that's when you actually can play a role. And that role is to be the person's friend. You don't need to pull out the medication, and no, you don't need all of that. What you need to do is be there. Be that person's crutch. Give that person a shoulder to lean on. That's all he or she needs, you know. And we talked about touch before. Sometimes all you do is hold their hands, or put your hands on their shoulder, or give them a hug. That's it. That is so healing. Because we talked about earlier on about energy. You are bringing all that comforting energy, and you overwhelm the other person's negative energy. You can do that. You can neutralize it. You need to give. It's about giving of yourself. And giving is not buying them flowers. And no. To me, that's useless. You buy flowers when they're alive. Don't buy flowers when they're dead. Sometimes, for the people who are left behind, it's the worst. Dying is simple for us. You just close your eyes, you're gone. It's the people we leave behind that we need to care for. Caring means being there, be their friends, be their crutch. And very often, please say nothing.
Yep.
好像刚才我也跟Dr. Lee 还有 Nat 分享说，昨天我看了一部新的剧集，它刚好呢，它里面有讲到其中一集呢，就是那个老夫老妻，然后先生呢就眼睁睁的看着自己太太就是必须因为年纪大了生病而老去了，然后他有一个很好的朋友，他的很好的朋友就是 Michael Douglas， 然后呢就是太太去世之后的第一个晚上，当然就是这个 Michael Douglas 身为好朋友就安慰这个老朋友啦，然后后来呢，他就要回家了 ，Michael Douglas 就走出这个朋友的家，然后这个朋友就打开窗，好像站在那边有一些话要说这样子，然后这个 Michael Douglas 他就说 ，Do you want me to stay over for the night？ 可是对方他又不敢直接讲出口，然后到最后呢，其实他们换了一个方式的一个说话，一个在窗口，一个在下面，然后呢，那个 Michael Douglas OK，I will stay for the night。所以有时候也要说对话啦，就像 Dr. Lee 讲的如果你不太会讲话的话呢 ，action still speaks louder than words。
Yep. Now, earlier I was talking about my wife, right, hearing issue. She actually went through the 5 stages of grief, even by just simply losing.
So you counted lah.
I was discussing with her last night. I was realizing that it's actually quite interesting because at the beginning stage, when she lost her hearing, we went to see an ENT doctor, and the first reaction from the first ENT doctor was, "Oh, bo kiu liao, no help already." So immediately when you hear that your hearing gone like that, and the response was such a way, the first thing that come out is denial. There's no way that it's been gone like that. Just like that. How is it so?
Just like that?
Just like that.
Cannot be what?
Yeah. Right. So then you go into anger. This bloody ENT doctor must be fake. So you go through anger, frustration, irritated, all the emotion all surface.
他有没有呢 Let's go to another doctor.
Yes, that's what we did. So we bargain. We go into a third stage. We go into bargaining. We find other options. We seek another ENT doctor and find options available. We went through an intratympanic injection. Each jab cost about 1,000. So total we spent 3,000 just for a jab on the ear. Still no hope. 3 jabs. So in that process, after that, we can't do much. Then we went into the depressive state. The last part, the second last part, which is every day you feel so lost. You hear noise in the ear. We are always there to comfort her. So she go through that stage, and finally, after going down, finally when she pulled herself up, we went into acceptance stage. Now, I will just have to go through certain point of time where I will go to the right side to talk to her, or she'll pull me to the right side. Can you speak on this side because I can't hear you? So you go through the whole process. But I realized that what Dr. Lee mentioned about Kubler-Ross grief cycle, the process, we can actually fluctuate between state sometimes.
Yes.
So we can go through the depressive state and go back to bargaining
And go
back
back
to
again. Yes.
Yeah.
We yo-yo back and forth sometimes.
Correct. So awareness is the choice. So by being aware, when you reach the final stage, which is the acceptance stage, you're actually on the way to recovery.
那我觉得有时候你就算是你到了那个接受的过程哦 even when you're at the acceptance stage, I felt for my case is I took quite a long time to accept it. The journey of the acceptance.
The process is very long.
The process is very long. I took almost a few years to accept, and then and then learn. At the end, you embrace it. 就是跟自己达到一个和解，和好。Like I agree with what Dr. Lee said， 就是有时候是跟我们自己的一个和解。我觉得它都是需要时间。
Yeah, time is very important.
Yeah, one of the important factors, time and patience. 我们看看观众朋友这边，有好一些一些留言哈。
Okay, what did? Let me see.
Diana 是我的表姐 for the first time. Let's see what 我的表姐说什么。
So thank you for being real about grieving. It's not as easy as it is said, but it's great to know we can take time to grieve as long as we remember to get back on our feet again to face this world. Yep. Because ultimately at the end of the day, it's about moving forward. And we will always remember the things that we lost. Be it through pictures. I have friends who actually have kids who pass on. They still have their own urns around with their ashes kept away, and they will remember them as well.
所以说，其实我的表姐吧，就是 Diana， 因为她的爸爸，她非常敬爱的爸爸，也是我的姨丈。我知道他们就是花了很长的一段时间去接受我的姨丈的一个离世，因为那一次的情况也是很突然的，就是因为跌倒，然后就必须住院，那住院住了很长的一段时间，所以他们的心理交战啊，就是面对自己最亲爱的人，可是有时候那种放手不放手的那种 很难做决定，到最后决定放手了之后，还经过很长的一段时间，因为我的那个姨丈是连我这位作为侄子的我都觉得哇，他是一个很和蔼可亲的一个形象，你懂吗？就是尤其是对那种人你更加不舍得，那更何况是作为他们的一个非常深爱的爸爸，他们需要很长的一段时间，可是时间是最好的证明了。
So acceptance can take quite a while. I mean, even for my wife, she went through many months to go through that final depressive state to actually move to acceptance stage as well. So same goes for individual, like what Dr. Lee mentioned earlier. So we do not know how you feel because every person is different. Even in my area when I was doing therapy, I do have patients who pass on from cancer. So when they are going through the stage, when they first get that the condition, they also go through the grieving state as well before they pass on. So it does not only appears in people. Back to 主先
钟明他有一些话说，钟明。
Okay, what can you read it out for us?
忧伤应该不是瞬间发生的，它是经过很久内心的压抑，或担忧而形成的情绪低落，当然这个是其中的一种啦。那它是有时间性慢慢的发酵， 慢慢的酝酿的。可是更不要说，你看，所以有时候一些我们人生当中总会面对一些突如其来的情况，
对
啊，那一种我觉得它可能就更棘手了，更需要很长的时间。打个比方说，我的养父也是我非常敬爱的，他也是走得很突然的。那个时候我是在彩排 still doing a rehearsal for my performance. But when I received the phone call from my brother, my stepfather already passed away. And when I visit him, 他已经是在那个停尸房。我甚至没有时间 go through any stage. I felt I don't have time to go through any of that stage. So this is very live individual experience because that time I'm doing rehearsal for performance. I can only focus on the performance. I realized I had only the grief gradually in between different stages of my performance and after the performance.
You know, I can relate to that. When the loss is sudden, sometimes you don't go through the whole process, you know, because it's so sudden. My younger brother, he's very healthy. He does gym. He's a doctor like me, but he passed away while working out at the gym. Sudden. And actually, if I look at it, I felt sorrow, severe sorrow. But actually, I'm stuck still a little bit at denial in the beginning, because even now, sometimes I forget he has passed on because it's too sudden. My mind could not quite comprehend it or accept it yet. I haven't got to acceptance yet. It was just too sudden, and that's now going on 2 or 3 years now. And I still sometimes almost about to send him a message. Even now, he's on my WhatsApp. I have never deleted his WhatsApp. And sometimes I send him a message and I'm going, oh, he's dead. And it's sudden loss is the one we need to watch out for. Because like you say, it's so sudden. We are actually stuck somewhere in the beginning, you know.
Yes.
And the process hasn't had time to complete.
And I totally agree with that, because the same thing happens to my mom also, but my mom has a bit more time, 2 weeks, and not just 1 day, 2 weeks. You know, I still remember the first cry after my mom passed away was after 3 months. After 3 months, one day when I'm showering, and I don't know why in between the shower, I just cried. And then I know, okay, that's the point. And I gave myself the time to really get it out.
Cry.
And I cry all the way out in the shower room.
Very good.
Yeah.
And it's okay to let your emotion out, because it's about expression. When you let the emotion that's been bottled up for too long, you go deeper in. Whatever that you focus on expands. So when you're focusing on feeling depressed, at the fourth stage of the cycle of grief, you end up sinking downwards. So it might lead further into something that is not desirable. So rather than that, move away from the state, change the behavior, move out, get some sun, get some activity. That will also indirectly help you as well. I had a client years ago who is also similar, but in the case that basically, I think her mom passed on, and she stayed alone in her own apartment for many months. I think 6-7 months. What bring her out from it was a suggestion from a friend to get a fur kit. That changes the whole thing, because she stays alone. She's alone. She has no one around. Friends are very limited, and they cannot always be there for her. She's single. But a fur kit actually shifts her perception, because there's a lot of love, unconditional. There's a lot of communication, even though it's non-verbal, but it's there to support her.
That's a good choice.
Yep.
I think fur
Would it-
kids sometimes provide more comfort because they don't say anything. They're just there, you know, and they love you. Like you say, unconditionally, they love you. You know they love you, you know, and they allow you to be yourself. That's the one thing about fur kids I really, really appreciate. They allow you to be who you are. Whereas
Yep.
when you're grieving, when you go out to meet people, you have to put on a very brave face. You have to put on your makeup or put on your clothes. You got to dress nicely when you're going out for dinner. But inside it's just eating you up. But in front of your fur kid, nothing. You can dress in your pajamas. They don't judge you. You know,
Mhm.
you are just my biggest love. Their
Yeah.
eyes that look at you, I love you so much. It's like, wow.
Dr. Lee 说出了所有这个养宠物的主人们的心声啊，我真的也是觉得如此的。虽然我不养宠物，我是觉得宠物呢是，你不在它的面前，你不需要伪装，
Yep.
你不需要把自己强装起来，你可以做回自己。
I had a friend who had an abusive husband years ago, I think more than 15 years back. So she
Oh,
was telling
wow.
me, yeah, so she told me that when she was going through that challenges and finally they went through a divorce, what goes through her mind was a lot of grieving process and so forth. But what bring her out from it was each night her cats will come on her tummy and just simply press around and purr. Just spend time with her on her tummy, and that's it. And that comforts her. And that's
Feline
how she gone
massage.
from.
They do that.
Yeah, correct. Which is quite amazing. You know, they do that. I mean, I do that to my wife, but that's different thing.
Who does the purring? Huh? Who does the purring? Meow.
That's too much information.
啊，OK， 这边 Joanna Chan said something.
Okay, good. Joanna Chen. Okay, good morning, Dr. Lee. Yes, agree. Sometimes keep quiet and don't say anything is best. Yep.
Hello,
That's
Joanna.
true.
And then Imelda Tay.
The caregiver is the one that suffer. Yeah, during the period of time when the patient goes through, let's say cancer, or the caregiver takes a lot of work. They're actually experiencing, and when they're the one that they care for pass on, they do go through the grief a lot because they spend so much time with them.
那刚才 Anna 她也提到，Thank you, Dr. Lee. This is definitely timely for us. Creamy baby crossed Rainbow Bridge, 28th April. 1 month, but we're still trying to cope. But that's a good
wonderful,
description.
Wonderful dog, Creamy.
Yeah.
Very hard to forget.
So yeah, that's why today our suggestion and our ideas when we talk about grief is to go through the cycle, give you an idea of it, and then subsequent to look into how you can move forward, I would say, into a better outcome that you want.
Recently, we were talking about laughter. I think in this day and age, especially with this lockdown, and I also realized over the decades, there's less and less laughter. I mean, when I used to watch political debates and parliament and all, when I look at the English ones, especially English, it's sometimes very funny. They talk about really funny things and they poke fun at each other. And in Australia, the same. Sometimes the politicians do that. It's really funny, and it puts an air of lightheartedness into a very serious topic. I think that's very good. But when I look at our politicians in this part of the world, every time I look at them, it's like a bomb has just dropped. It's just like, no, there's no room for fun. There's no room for laughter. There's no room for lightheartedness. Everything's gonna be serious. It's like, no, please, let's lighten up a bit. This is already very serious times. Let us put more laughter into our lives. Grief, as I said earlier, it's like salt. It's a wound. You don't want to put more salt on the wound. It's very, very painful. We need a topping of sugar. That's why when we treat a wound, we use honey to make the wound heal faster. We need a lot more honey. So, I mean, one of the things, don't watch period dramas that always end in tragedy. Go out and get a good laugh. I think that's really good. Go with friends who are lighthearted. Don't go with friends who will keep reminding you about all the problems that's going on. Okay, so always try and put a bit of humor back into your life. Try to put a bit of honey on this horrible wound that you have. Allow it to heal.
Yeah.
But the movies, I look at movies, very few light-hearted movies, feeling good movies anymore. All the movies nowadays are either thrillers or horror movies. There's so many horror movies.
Zombies.
Zombie 1, Zombie 2, they never seem to end. A Zombie 4, the apocalypse, the world is starting to end. And a lot of Christian pastors are talking like that. They keep reminding us about the worst. They forget the Bible is a message of hope. But we keep talking about the end times. It's like, what is the matter with us? We seem to find more comfort in talking about horrible things. There are good sides to in life. Life is wonderful.
Yes.
I would miss it if I had to leave today. I love life. I love everything about life. So the thing that reminds me of life is being out with nature. I would and being with my dogs and with my cats. Oh man, that's so funny. It's about life. And then we need to go out and live. Okay, guys, you need to go out and live life. If people keep reminding you about how terrible things are, please just ask them to go away. Go away. And when you watch a movie, look at some of the oldies. If they got look at some of the good, funny movies. Watch that. Watch movies on animals. Oh, that's really good. National Geographic and all that. That is so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Documentaries. Yeah. 那我甚至是我在教唱歌的时候，我跟我的学生说，不要一直唱那些就是要死要哭那是要死要活的歌啦，唱一些快乐一点的歌，可以吗？
对。我看很多中国戏剧啊，大部分戏剧不是，大部分是报仇。为什么 revenge 就杀人报仇啊？那真的，每一场都要哭的。
So let's see what just now Dr. Lee mentioned about pandemic, the recent COVID situation, right? David Kessler, who actually learned from Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, talks about the pandemic in 2020, and this is what he says is in 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Kessler applied the 5 stages to response of virus, saying it's not a map, but it provides some scaffolding of this unknown world. There's denial, which we saw at the early stage of the virus. They say that this virus won't affect us. Then there's anger. You are making me stay at home and taking away my activity and my social and so forth. That's bargaining. Okay, if I'm socially distancing for 2 weeks, everything will be okay, right? Then there's sadness. I don't know when this will end. And finally, there's acceptance. This is happening right now. I have to figure out how to proceed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. I think the acceptance is, I think when Mr. Lawrence said that it might become endemic. That's telling you to accept it.
Yep. So acceptance.
Endemic.
Yep. Yeah, Dr. Lee, you're saying you think?
I think one of the things we need to take from today's show is we need to look at a different side of the coin. So about this pandemic, rather than look at how many people that have died or got sick, we have to look at how many people that survived and got better. That's so many people survived, so many people got better, and that's the side we need to concentrate on. Stop concentrating on numbers, the numbers of people who get sick, the numbers who have died. Come on, if we do that with every disease, you might as well switch the light off tomorrow. I mean, you think about a common flu, it's the same. Any heart attack, diabetes, you can look at all the numbers that get it and the numbers that have passed away. Can we just stop this? Because life goes on with or without you. So let us join Life Force. We are 3 of us here. We are talking about life. We're not talking about death. Please, let's not concentrate on that. Let's talk about how to celebrate our lives. Let's look. We're so lucky. Look at Singapore. The number of cases. Man, so many of us are surviving. The number of people who are surviving out of this. We have 99% of us don't have the problem. That's a fact. Let us concentrate on that. That will help us into a better view of this whole situation.
Yeah. concentrate on that and then focus on that and treasure on it. Like the other day, I actually had a class with my students on Zoom. So at the end of the class, I said, okay, so what are you going to, after class, what are you going to do? I said, she's going back to the mother's home and have dinner with her husband and the kids and the mother. I said, wow,我听了我都觉得我会起鸡皮疙瘩的。我讲 wow that's lovely， 你要好好珍惜，就是说就是跟家人就是在一起的哈，就是真的我们很幸福啊，很幸运。真的是这样。好像我今天早上我去做运动的时候，我看着那个太阳，我讲 wow we still can exercise, we still can breathe and look at the sun, it's so bright, so warm。Fantastic.
How wonderful life is.
Yeah， 把那个重点像 Dr. Lee 讲的，把它重点放在正面的那个部分。
My wife Joy, she took up cooking and all that last year, and she made every few days a celebration. She will wind up with a wonderful meal. Yesterday, Joy came up with a fantastic array of sushis. It was fantastic. It's like going to a Japanese restaurant and she decorated it and all that. It's like for that moment, it was a celebration. And we should do more of that. Every day with your family members, make it into a celebration. Yep. That's not hard. It's not hard.
You know, when Jose mentioned about being grateful for situations and events, there was once a very famous conductor who was actually residing in Russia, I think. And he came back to Singapore because of the pandemic. But what he gained from this experience was he became what we call food rider, those who send food to all those locations. And he get to have a new flavor of understanding and seeing people in different households. And recently, I came across some food rider who had their own TikTok video going around when they experience different locations, how they save individual, or they even have people coming out to have fun and chat with them. It's quite interesting because they get to live life daily. This particular rider actually had an experience when he went to deliver food to a house, and there is a trampoline at the place. And he asked the owner, "Is it okay for me to try it?" And he actually started jumping on a trampoline while he's delivering food. It's all about having fun. Really.
对，我觉得我们要懂得在我们的这个本来就已经是很多，应该就是说人生本来就是有很多的苦难的啦。可是我觉得我们是可以用另外一种方式来看待它，跟去面对它，跟生活。
My good customer bought me a new COVID mask.
Wow.
Oh,
and I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear it all the time. I think this is so good, but it will make those distancing inspectors very scratched.
Please put your mask on.
Yeah, that's what I saw in one of the Facebook. I think in the States, he wear a mask. Actually, it's the same thing as the nose and the mouth, everything. Then the other party say, "Hey, wear a mask." They say, "I'm having my mask on." Then he took down the mask. Actually, the mask is the nose and the mouth.
Let's have fun. Let's have fun, guys. We need some fun.
Yep. And there are many ways to create fun, even by sharing jokes, spending time, doing activities that can actually create laughter. Because when your energy is low, by shifting the state that you're in will indirectly help you to go through recovery or to be better at what you can do, and the outcome will begin to slowly surface as well because you're moving forward.
Yeah, gotta move forward.
So watch a movie like what Chiu Qian mentioned. Go and check out Komsky. I'm selling the movie right now.
Netflix, right? Komsky? The Komsky way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I need to go and check that out. The Komsky way. All right. Michael Douglas. Okay.
Michael Douglas. Yes. Actually, Netflix they have a lot of good original productions. Yeah. 刚才 Alice 她说 Wow, unique mask, Dr. Lee. So actually one way to make your life a bit lighter, happier, funnier. I mean, since every day we got to wear masks, if you can afford it, why not? Now masks is actually not expensive. Buy different sorts of masks, and then to go with your clothing if you still need to work, right?
Yes,
Or some
absolutely.
funny mask, and if you have a whole family, everyone wears a different funny mask.
My customers wear, both the husband and wife who gave me this mask, wear their mask, the special one with the face on it, every time they come in. Very interesting. Make
Where
people
did they
laugh.
manage
I
to
mean,
make it?
that's really good. I would like to see people smile more. I mean, we are in very difficult times. Let's enjoy it. Let's help each other out. Okay, I think that's important.
So create
Okay,
humor.
someone asked about what's the movie. Let me
Okay.
find the spelling.
Mm.
Kominsky, Kominsky. The Kominsky, Kominsky method, METHOD.
Okay.
The Kominsky method
I
by
just posted a below for you.
Michael Douglas.
It's in
It's
Netflix.
it's a quite funny, light-hearted series. Just half an hour, very easy
We
to
need more of
digest.
this. We need more of this.
Yes,
I see a lot of
yes.
good ones on WhatsApp. People do little skits and all that. I get all
Yep.
this. I laugh like, man, it's so funny. We need more of that.
And even with videos of pets for dogs, cats, they
Yeah.
place one square with stickers on it, and the cats will just go there. They even made a small little tablet for them to sit on, so it's their own computer. A lot of
And you know
fun.
what? I like to watch those. They put the pets with the baby.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
and some of the video clips actually shows the timing that the fur kid and the baby grow together. Like from baby until the baby gets to about 2-3 years old, and then the fur kid gets bigger as well, and then they sleep together, they play together, and it's quite heartwarming.
We need that.
So
The
coming back
world
to
needs that.
Yep. Coming back to the topic about grief, I would say at the end of the day it's about changing the outcome that you want, looking at being happy, making fun. What other things do you think you can do, Dr. Lee?
I think one of the things you need to do is go out.
Mm.
Go out. You need company. Sometimes we grieve alone, but for a short period. If you let depression set in, if you start going inwards, it will destroy you. And one of the things I find, most of us know that amongst doctors, that when you internalize your grief, you develop cancer or heart problem. And cancers that occur with people who internalize grief: stomach cancer, splenic cancer, pancreatic cancer, bowel cancer. When you put the energy, the negative energy, you concentrate it inwards, you develop with inward problems. And it's time to just, if you've been going through this for a while, go out, fresh air, meet some friends, meet up with nature. I went kayaking on the weekends, and then you go out, go kayaking, or go cycling. You need an activity that takes you out of this area. You cannot just sit down and grieve and grieve and grieve, and you get stuck. That's what happens. You get stuck, and when you get stuck, nobody can help you. Only yourself. You need to get yourself up and out, dress up, go out, go for a walk. Anything that takes you away from just sitting at home and thinking about all of this. Get yourself a distraction. Buy a pet.
Yeah.
It's just like the choke basin. You need to unclog it.
You need to unclog it. You are absolutely right.
Kim Chen.
Yep. Welcome, Kim. When we refuse to accept the emotional part, the body takes over. Yes, very true. Yeah, I think about a few months back, your daughter, Dr. Oliver Lee, she mentioned this thing called heartbroken syndrome. during the Japanese War, when the husband passed on, the widow actually had the one part of the heart shrank to the shape of a octopus. So there is a manifestation of a physical symptoms in the body when they're going through the
Absolutely.
emotional state.
Absolutely. And then they
Hey.
found that during the war also, during the wars, a lot of orphans were taken to the hospitals because the parents are either killed or missing. They put them in these hospitals, and the babies didn't live very long. And they found out to make these babies survive, they carry them. When you carry them, they survive. And this touch is so important. It's so important. You need that human touch. You need to be touched by another living soul. And we who are supporters, who are caregivers, need to remember that as well, because we also need touch. I mean, for me especially, I when I'm at work, I see 30 to 40 sick patients, and some of them are tremendously ill. I know they will pass on. And if I don't go home and recharge, I will be in a lot of trouble. I'm a caregiver, but I tell you, I really need to be recharged. And the recharge comes from, as I said, these wonderful dinners that my wife makes, and the hug I get from my son and my wife and my dog and my birds. I love that. My birds are very close to me. They love me.
Remember just now you mentioned about Chester, right? So Robert was mentioning, agree with Dr. Lee. Chester was diagnosed with 3 types of cancer, given 4 months to live. But Dr. Lee and his team were a happy team and made Chester happy. We give Chester a happy home, lots of laughter and joy, and they live happily on for another 3.5 years.
Remarkable story. He didn't have chemo. He just had immunotherapy. That's all he had. He had 3 types of serious cancers.
Yep. So it's through all this laughter, joy, it will indirectly affects the energy around it, you see. And the person or the pets, or the fur kids in particular, will also feel the joy and happiness, and therefore it extended their life as well.
Love.
Yeah.
Love each other. You know, there's not enough love in the world. You know, we talk about all sorts of things except love. You know, we talk about conspiracies. We talk about bad governments. We talk about overspending. We talk about the vaccine being this and that, and then we forget to love each other. Now the COVID, and that's the problem. We are facing each other more than we normally do. We're stuck in the house with your wife, your husband, your kids, and all that, and things go really wrong sometimes. The stress of being together. Now, we need to love. We need to practice love. Love is a 4-letter word. It's a simple act of feeling. It's a charitable act. And love, the things that comes with love, forgiveness. When something is not right, you just forgive that person. They say the wrong thing, forgive them. It's not easy, but you can practice it. This is time to practice it. You have nowhere else to go, okay? You're at home. Practice this.
So to end our topic today, I think that's the 4-letter word to grieve. That's LOVE.
Absolutely.
There's always a flip side to the coin, see, like what Dr. Lee mentioned earlier. So give your love, share your love to the world, to the people around you, and you will see amazing energy, because everything you cannot not communicate. So indirectly, when you share your love, even by not communicating verbally, the other person can also feel it.
And it's amazing that we can actually give love, not only to people, like anything, your plants at home, your fur kids at home, anything, you can give love. And when you come to think of it, wow, I can actually give love. That's amazing. So don't neglect that special gift given to us.
Life-giving. You give life when you love, like Chester, like plants. When you give love to the plants, you watch them grow incredibly. They grow better. They grow better. The fruits that come out of your papaya tree, it's sweeter. Love makes a lot of things. Makes the world go round. I remember the Coca-Cola song.
Coca-Cola song. Let me see whether I can find the song.
On love.
Yeah.
You can find it? Oh, good. Play it.
Yeah, Coke song.
Cola. Love
Let me see
song.
whether I can find it.
It's
It
a
should be
wonderful song.
It's a very old song. I Like to Buy the World, right? I think
Correct.
it's a very old song. I think in the 70s, I think.
Just
In the
get that
70s.
ready. Get
Let me
that
just
ready,
see.
and then we can
Finish
wrap
on
it up.
from there.
Yep.
Let me see
Sending
whether
out love from three of us, from the three musketeer. Love
We're-
Katia. Love
Yeah.
Katia.
it's
Musketeers.
let me see. Okay, let me just
这边
carry on.
Carol 说分享大爱 ，Alice 也说了 LOVE。Tracy said hope for the best, prepare for the worst, expect nothing. And Robert Ong said I like to teach the world to sing.
Yeah,
The
That's the song.
Seekers.
yeah. I think this is
I
the
like
one.
to
I would like
teach
to
the
teach the
world to sing a perfect harmony.
harmony.
I think should be this one, but this is not Coca-Cola, but it I believe should be the
It's
right
the
one.
same song. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be this one. Let me just see.
Ah,
And furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honeybees, Snow White turtle doves.
sing together.
Teach
Like
the
to
world.
teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Harmony.
I'd like to
To
hold
hold it in my arms and keep it company.
All right, come on, everybody, join us.
See the world grow
Oh, what's sharing hand in hand?
and hear them
And echo through the hills of peace throughout the land.
That's a song I
Coca-Cola.
sing.
The world is singing perfect harmony.周明说抱抱大家 Imelda says thanks for all the love.
I like to build the world and find
Furnish it with love.
grow
Apple trees and honey.
Honeybees,
Snow
Snow White
White
turtle
turtle
doves.
the song I hear.
Like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Da-da-da-da.
Keishan said, have a cold.
That's the song I sing.
That's song I sing.
And I say, perfect
Perfect
song.
harmony. That's song I hear. Perfect harmony. In perfect harmony.
周明说蓝天白云，阳光灿烂的日子。OK，哈
哇，
哈，
这个 according to the video is 1972.
Wow.
That's how long it is.
When I was still at
Beautiful.
university.
Love no boundaries, huh? All right.
I was only
Ah.
2 years old.
Thank you everyone for joining us today, and also thanks to Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for sharing us all your wisdom.
My pleasure.
Today is
See
a
you
bit fun. We have
again.
a lot of singing too.
Yes, yes. We should do that more often. We'll see you in July.
Yep. Then we'll see you in June. Next month you'll be back.
June. Okay,
You
so
jump
fast I
ahead.
jumped to July. So happy until I see July. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you to all my friends for listening in. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Made
you
my day.
everyone.
Yep.
Mm.